Hey everybody, it is the Grappletv podcast coming to you across the country today. Well, actually sort of like across two countries in a sense. It's me, Felicia and Kenny Jewel, my podcast partner here today with Ethan Crelinsten. Did I get it right?
Got it right. Nailed it.
It's such a foreign name. It's Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Very exotic.
Yeah, it is. Ethan, you are Canadian, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
You were born there and everything, and somehow you ended up in this world of grappling in the United States now.
Somehow I got dragged into this crazy world. Yep.
So you're like right now, you're one of like literally, because we're in this, we're hopefully at this tail end of the pandemic, the lockdown, the quarantine of 2020.
Seems like it.
You're like sort of like the busiest guy in grappling right now.
Yeah, so it's been sort of quiet when it first broke out. Like me, Pierre, and Taza were supposed to have matches in Texas, and then it sort of everything got shut down, so everything was quiet for like a few weeks, and then I sort of just did everything I possibly could to sort of go hunt down matches, accepting pretty much like anything that came my way, and managed to stay busy. Yeah.
So what, you were in two of the post or during COVID events. Can you tell us about those?
Yes. So, okay. So both of them were no audience events. So that was kind of cool. The first one was definitely less audience than the second one. So the first one, SUG in Portland, Oregon versus Andrew Alexander. That was really cool. We get to the hotel, like first the plane ride itself, where like me and Craig went out there. It was pretty much, we both had like 3 seats to ourselves.
Craig Jones?
Yeah, Craig Jones. Me and him both went out there. And the airports were like super deserted. The airplane itself completely empty. It was great. We had like three seats to ourselves there and back. So we got there and like everything's closed. All the restaurants, everything. It's like you have to go and get your food and leave. Pretty much how it is wherever. If anyone's watching this, pretty much the same. Probably going on wherever you are. Then we get picked up from the hotel we're staying at, which is we're like the only people staying in this hotel. It was super eerie in that sense. We get picked up. We go to some like random location, some farmland in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea still where it was.
So somewhere in Oregon.
Somewhere in Oregon, yeah, middle of nowhere. And we compete. We both win. Craig wins by devastating leg explosion.
You two are like a little devastating duo, like breaking everyone's shit, man.
Yeah. That was an insane match, Craig and Vinny. Oh my God. I guess leg locks work. So that's what we can take away from that.
Did you get to watch the matches, or they scuffled away after your match?
They were very strict about having a specific number of people in the venue. The first SUG that happened during the pandemic, but this one they were a little more lenient and flexible of letting people in and out. So we each had our own warm-up room, and I was able to watch from the warm-up room, and I would come down and watch like by the stage a little bit, by the cage. So you can hear it. You could hear the leg injury. We were all like right there. It was pretty loud, like echoed in the room. Oh my God, it was crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to interrupt real quick. So when Vinny fought Gordon, it was at some tournament in
ACB.
No, before. Wait. Oh yeah, ACB. Okay. Yeah. So when Vinny made that statement about, I guess leg locks don't work, a lot of people were upset with him about it, but I know he was just joking, and the reason I know that is because right after the fight, Vinny went over to Gordon and his coach And he was like, "Hey man, I hope you guys didn't take that seriously. I was just joking. You know, that's who I am." So I mean, I have a little insight to that just because I was there. So, anyways, I just want to throw that out there. But keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
That's what I do, though.
No, that's good. That's a good point. We're actually, me and Craig were talking about that before his match. We were warming up, and even if it's a joke, when you say leg locks don't work like that, and then you get the hashtag going, and everyone starts talking about it, you sort of, it's cool. Like it's a ballsy statement. Like you brand yourself as like the guy that no one can leg lock. And there's like now with, you know, this new grappling community, there's this like leg lock community out there. So he definitely ruffled the feathers of those guys. So that was funny in that sense. And I guess Craig sort of got him back for that. So he's like the unsung hero of the leg lock community after that one.
Well,
yeah, sure.
Especially in our world now, you know, we've seen it in MMA. Anytime you start talking crap, if you're worthy to even be talking crap, then I mean, we're in the post Conor McGregor time. Well, we are in the Conor McGregor time. I don't want him to hear me say we're in the post Conor time. I guess he's mulling over the deal right now. But, you know, like you put yourself up as a target when you do that, but you also get the attention. And so you get both sides, you know, there's good and bad to that. For sure.
Yeah. It takes, like, you know, people sort of talk shit about the people who talk shit. But like, if you talk shit and you back it up, that's really, really impressive on a number of levels. Like you're betting on yourself, verbally. Like if you talk the way, let's say Gordon, for example, if you talk the way Gordon talks and then you go out and lose, it looks a lot worse than if you just didn't say anything or you were humble or whatever, and then you go out and lose. Versus if you talk that way and then you go out and win, it makes it a lot better. It sort of ups the stakes. So that takes a lot of guts. Not a lot of people sort of have that in them. I personally, I don't really have that in me. I don't know what it is. I either don't have the confidence in myself or I don't have the sort of brashness to speak like that. But it's definitely, it takes like courage on a number of levels to do that.
Who are you fighting next?
I have Cade Rotolo on the Who's Number One Flow Grappling event.
So we're going to help you out with this.
All right.
Could say something like, Cade and Ty, if you both were in the ring with me at the same time, I would leg lock each of you at the same time.
Heel hook at the same time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We're going to get that quote. We're going to put that quote out there.
Oh, God. All right.
So do you think Gordon Ryan is the equivalent to Conor McGregor as far as talking?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. In the grappling world, he's the Conor McGregor of the grappling, like without a doubt. Who else talks more shit and wins more than Gordon? Like you can't, in that sense, you cannot argue. Gordon is definitely the biggest talker in the jiu-jitsu world, and as well as much as he talks, he also wins. So what percentage of the grappling population out there do you think hates Gordon or loves Gordon? Damn, that's a tough one. Percentage wise, that's an interesting, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's 50-50. I'd say more people like him than dislike him. Definitely. Otherwise he wouldn't have as big a loyal following as he does. But it's crazy what he's done. He just sort of started betting on himself first with money and now with words as well as money. And he just sort of snowballed and kept winning and backed up everything he said. It's crazy. Like from the early brown belt days when he sort of started exploding on the scene, he's just been talking shit ever since. And it's just been growing like that. So it's pretty impressive.
I first saw him fight in some tournament out here as a brown belt. I didn't know who he was. And it was a no-gi tournament. I think it was 16 people. And he just wrecked everybody. And I was like,
where are you guys?
I'm in LA.
In LA. Okay.
So he fought somewhere out in Pasadena. It was at I can't remember, Savant Young's school. It was a small tournament. I'm sorry?
At Fight Academy. That's Savant School, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't at that academy that me and you went to. It was at a different one. It might have still been called the Fight Academy. Anyways, I saw him fight and just destroy everybody. I was like, who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Yeah.
And then after that, and actually the same thing with Gerry Tonon. I saw him fight one of the Meow brothers when he was probably a brown belt.
Studio 540 probably.
And I was like, who is this guy? You know, so then seeing all this EBI crap where, not crap, but where the guys from Danaher are just, they own it. You know, it shouldn't say Eddie Bravo's EBI anymore. It should be the Danaher EBI.
Yeah. It's too bad they sort of went another direction with that. Like they're doing that overtime tournament now, and they started sort of gravitating more towards combat jiu-jitsu. It's too bad. In my opinion, I don't know what the viewer numbers are. Maybe there's more people watching combat. I don't know, but definitely me personally as a fan and also as a competitor, I'd much rather continue going with the EBI, like standard EBI. That shit was really, really great. It's too bad they sort of go another direction.
Have you done combat?
No, I've never done the combat one yet. I was almost going to do it. I was supposed to be on the 135 event, and it was just too close to another match I had. I also really didn't want to cut to 135. But yeah, and the last one, the 145 one, I didn't really even get a chance. They didn't really contact me about it. Maybe if I had hit them up, they'd have put me in, but I don't know. I just like regular jiu-jitsu, and I think it would be better and more entertaining for me personally. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are watching this are like, no, we love combat, but me as a fan, I definitely prefer standard EBI.
But you started out, you did more MMA and a broader range of things, yes?
Yeah. So at the very beginning of just my days in Montreal, sort of discovering like training and this whole world that I'm in right now. I started off doing sort of just kickboxing and, just striking and some wrestling, some like Greco wrestling, until I found jiu-jitsu and then liked that way more. So at the beginning, I would train at TriStar, primarily MMA. And, I was told by some of my teammates that because I wanted to do a amateur fight, and they're like, you have no jiu-jitsu, you cannot do a fight. You need to do some jiu-jitsu or you're going to get submitted. That was pretty much it. I tried it. I got my ass kicked and then I got hooked after that.
So what year was that you started at TriStar?
Okay. So I started, I think I was 18 or 19. And then I started jiu-jitsu sort of later that year. So probably 19.
No, but what year was that?
What year was that? Okay. So it's 2020 right now. So I must have started 2015, I guess, 2015, 2014. Seems like super recent in my mind. I don't know why. It seems like I just started, but yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay, so I have to ask, would you see George St Pierre training, and have you trained with him?
Oh yeah, for sure. So at TriStar, at the beginning, at least when I would be there full time, he would train with us every Monday and Saturday. And usually he would actually teach on Monday. He would teach sort of like MMA grappling. So like standing up, striking to get a takedown, working on the fence, a lot of clinch wrestling, fence wrestling. And we'd always train. We'd get rounds in. He'd sort of, as I was sort of coming up, we'd start training more and more. And he would like always laugh at how squirmy and, tricky I was with my triangles from guard and stuff. And we trained together a lot. Yeah. Great training partner. Honestly, he's like the one guy, one of the training partners out there you're literally never going to get injured with. You're going to get great rounds all the time and good insight into MMA grappling. And yeah.
Did you ever catch him?
Is
that something I can ask?
We go back and forth. I don't want to give out details. It's George, man. I'm sure he could kick my ass if he wanted to, but yeah, we go back and forth.
So can you do a St. Pierre impression for us?
Hey guys, today we are going to train jiu-jitsu. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much like every French person in Montreal. Shout out to
How come you don't
the guys
talk
out there. What's that?
How come you don't talk like that?
I was sort of really bad in school, and I always neglected French class. I would sort of just do enough to get by, and also my entire family is primarily Anglophone, as well as Hebrew. So those two languages were more than enough for me to add on a third.
What was the first one?
Anglophone, so English, and then Hebrew.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, like Francophone, Anglophone. Maybe that's a French word. I don't know.
I think it's sort of a Quebecish distinction, right? Like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's true. You never really have to make that distinction elsewhere. Like, everyone just speaks English. But, yeah, Anglophone means...
Do most people there just every day, do they speak English or French walking around? Or both?
Definitely most people... Okay, most people are both. But of French and English, I'd say it's definitely more French than English.
Wait, so you don't even speak any French?
No, I definitely speak French. I'll understand it and speak it. But, I mean, I've been living in New Jersey now, like, for the past 3 years. More of my time has been spent in New Jersey. And before that, I didn't really speak French in Montreal. I would just speak English with my family and friends. I'd speak French if I had to speak to a bus driver or someone on the street who spoke zero English. But that doesn't happen. You know, I just always spoke English my entire life. Yeah, so like you can get by with speaking only English in Montreal, but as soon as you leave Montreal and like the surrounding areas in Quebec, you absolutely have to speak French. But in Montreal, I made it work, so good to go.
Do they look down on you? Does your French have an accent?
My French does have a horrible accent. It's like I've been told I sound like a Parisian French that's grammatically incorrect, which is terrible. Everyone hates that, apparently. Everyone hates the way I speak French. So I just don't speak French because I just get ripped on for speaking French. So it's a feedback loop. So
your upcoming fight it's Cade or Ty? Which one are you fighting?
Cade.
Do you know how old they are now?
I don't really know. I think maybe 18, 17 or 18.
Do you feel any type of pressure fighting a young kid like that?
Sure. It sucks to lose because he's so much younger than you and you're supposed to win because you're older, I guess. At the same time, these kids are savages, man. They've been competing longer than I've been training. They've been, competing with like high-level guys for a long time now. They've been training for way longer than I have. But we're all grappling at the same pace. We're all like, I don't have superpowers because I'm older, and they don't have superpowers because they've been training longer. We're all just sort of training, doing the same thing. They have things that they're better at than me, and I have things that I'm better at than them. And, it's going to be a fun match no matter what. And, it's funny, actually. Me and Nicky are sort of switching it up here. We had both faced the other twin, and now we're trading. So Nicky beat Cade in West Coast trials, and I had beat Ty in East Coast trials. So switching it up.
I was going to say, you've been training with Nicky as well, so you're kind of used to grappling with a much younger person, right, as he's been growing up, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think, there's a tournament out here where it's any belt can fight, black belt through white belt. Maybe it's black belt through blue belt. And a lot of the black belts won't do it because they fear losing to a lower belt.
Yeah, it's like an ego thing.
Yeah. So what happens if Cade were 13? Would you still do it? I
mean, look, if he's out there, so Cade's now ranked higher than me, technically, on the flow rankings. I think he's like two or three higher than me. So, I mean, look, if he was 13, that would be insane. That would be very impressive. Clearly, he's very good. I honestly don't really even think about it too much. Like, it's sure they're younger, but they're still super good. And if he was 13, 12, it would be insane if he was that good at that age. as well. It would be insane if he's competitive. You know, if he's like able to compete with grown guys from that age. You know,
the reason I bring it up is I forgot what guest we had on. Don Stoner. Don Stoner was in one of the Submission Undergrounds, and he told a story about how I think he was 13. Was that right, Felicia?
I think so.
He was 13, and he fought this guy that was like 22 or 23 in pancration.
Wow.
And the dude just smashed him. Like to me.
I mean, that's a much more physical. Like, if you go into like even like if you take wrestling, it's much less likely you see a much younger competitor beat you know, a decently older competitor. If they're both at the same level, it's like much more physical. And then you look at pancration. I mean, for sure, the guy is going to beat the shit out of the kid. I'm no offense to the guy, but like it's, you know, it's tough.
And I just been watching these kids, Cade and Ty, grow up, and man, I don't think I've ever. Well, the only time I saw them lose was in ADCC. You know, they just win everything, and I think it was Cade that fought the Meow Brother. Was it Cade?
Ty.
Ty. Okay. He should have won that match. I mean, he ripped
it was that knee bar was on real tight.
Yeah, and I just can't believe how far they've come and so quickly. You know, I just look back a couple of years and there's these two little cute kids, you know, and they're both very personable. I call them Mr.
They're the coolest people, and they're so awesome, man. Those kids are awesome.
So,
and they've also, you know, I think we've seen them, Kenny, since they were really young and when they first came on. And I think it's always interesting, the evolution of a younger person, because they go through those really lean years of not having anyone to compete with, like around 13, 14, 15. You go to a lot of tournaments. If they're lucky, they only have one, you know, they might have one or two people to compete against. Yeah. And then I think a lot of times they get maybe distracted into other sports, or they just don't make it through that. So this new group with the explosion of jiu-jitsu, now you have more and more kids coming up and staying in the sport through those tough years. And now they're coming out the other side, and now they're coming for Yale.
Exactly.
And I think the same thing with Nicky Ryan. I was talking to Gord, I don't know, 5 years ago at an EBI, and he was saying, yeah, you got to watch out for my brother. He's better than me. And I was like, man, this is just an older brother, just, you know, he's proud of his little brother. And then I saw that kid fight, and I was like, oh my God. Like I'd love to see, he's good, man. I'd love to see those two if they were the same weight, you know, and same age, you know?
Yeah.
Like
if they were twins.
Yeah, because Nicky's very impressive. And so who do you get more? I don't know how to ask this question. So what do you get from training with Gordon versus when you train with Nicky?
Okay, so with Gordon, like, it depends on if sometimes he'll like sort of work on positions he's not good at, or he'll let me get deep in on a submission, like if we do situational training. So when that happens, like, I could definitely work more on, you know, mechanics of following up a submission to a finish. With Gordon, other days he's just working like half guard passing or whatever the hell he's working that he's good at. And I just get crushed. It's basically like being run over by a cement mixer. So that's never fun. With Nicky, it's always insane scrambles. Me and Nicky go like through 20 different positional, you know, submission escapes, this, that, back and forth, near back takes, near point scores. So with Nicky, it's definitely like more movement, more back and forth. Whereas with Gordon, it's more sort of I have to go at his pace and sort of try to, you know, work on whatever he's letting me work on, or just get crushed in half guard, basically. Pretty much it.
So what part of your game has developed the most training with Nicky and Gordon?
Okay, part of my game. I mean, training with all these guys definitely over the course of when I started training at Henzo's to now, I'd say my ability to scramble my way to the back, to score points on the back, my rear naked choke finishes, like my mechanics, my hand fighting, my finishing, percentage has gone up off the back. Definitely my like mat wrestling. So like wrestling from when all four knees are on the mat, when you and your partner have four knees on the mat, wrestling from that situation. Yeah, I'd say that's obviously heel hook mechanics as well, like entering the legs and chasing the heel to the finish. Countering leg locks to the back. That's probably one of the biggest things I've improved on since beginning training. So the ability to sort of, when guys enter your legs, to first of all counter or nullify their heel hook attempts or leg lock attempts, and then counter those to attack either passing the guard or to land the back take.
Do you think training with the Ryan brothers and at Renzo's, do you think you can catch George St Pierre in a leg lock now?
I don't know. He's tough, man. He's tough. He's like, look, if he wanted to, I'm sure he could smash all of us, but you know, who knows?
I think we have to get him out of retirement and have a match with you at SUG.
I'll take that match happily. Yeah.
Have you ever trained him?
He's the nicest guy in like across jiu-jitsu. Like if he comes in the gym, it's just like, it's always fun. He's always lighthearted. He's a hard worker. He listens. He does the technique well all the time. He's super good to train with. Yeah.
Have you ever trained with the gi?
Yeah, I competed in the gi a while back. More when I was just training in Montreal. There were like these local tournaments like Grappling Industries, Submission Arts. And yeah, I would always do both the gi and the no gi.
And which part of your game was better?
Definitely. I mean, at the beginning, they were sort of equivalent. But then, because I was really terrible at both, so they were about the same. And then sort of, I mean, I was at TriStar, so the no gi level there was just higher. So I couldn't help but gravitate towards no gi because I would just get better training in that sense. There were more training sessions without the gi. There were more guys training without the gi. The guys training without the gi were better without the gi. So yeah, I just sort of gravitated towards no gi. It wasn't really my decision. It was just sort of the environment I was in that just led me on this no gi path.
And you've been in a few EBIs, right? So
no, not yet.
Oh, you haven't done any EBIs?
No, not yet. I tried, but like it was sort of as I would come up. I got to Renzo's, and all the weight classes were sort of taken up by a Renzo guy. So first it was Eddie Cummings in the 135 or the 145, and then Gerry was in the 155, Gordon 160, 165, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then pretty much once Eddie left the team, then EBIs just sort of stopped. They just gravitated. They took like a sort of a break and then sort of gravitated to combat jiu-jitsu. So never really got a chance. Yeah, but I think they're bringing them back, hopefully.
Does Danaher call you by your first and last name? Does he go, Ethan Crelinsten, Ethan Crelinsten? You cannot get
I mean, when we're just talking, no, it would be a little weird if he did that. But during the live training, yeah, he goes, that was a embarrassing attempt at an armbar, Ethan Crelinsten, or good work, Ethan Crelinsten, something like that. Yeah.
How is Danaher? I mean, like, he seems so cerebral, but it seems like he lacks emotion. Am I wrong about that?
No, he's just, definitely he gives off that impression, that he is extremely very technical and very methodical with training and with his approach to learning. But yeah, he's a normal guy. We all joke around together, and he helps us and he ridicules us and all that stuff. Normal guy. Just cool to train with.
The one thing about him at ADCC, I remember him after every match, he would go and shake the opponent's coach's hand. I thought that was very respectful. And, a lot of people don't do it. He even went over to, not that he shouldn't, but never mind, I'm not going to say that. But I thought that was very respectful, going over and shaking everybody's hand. So he seems like he respects the game, the art, and it seems like everybody that comes out of that camp is very respectful too. I mean, I see Gerry Tonon and funny little story. Every time I see Gerry Tonon, he has his hair done differently. So he's walked by me like 3 times and I didn't know who he was. But that was, seeing Gerry Tonon at ADCC was like, I can't say a breath of fresh air, but it was just like, we miss him. You know what I mean? And then he comes out in that red, white, and blue, and then he does his little bows after his fights. Did you get a character, man? Do you get a chance to train with Gerry?
Gerry is very. I would say if you had to ask me who my favorite training partner is, I would say it's Gerry. He, first of all, has zero ego. Like, he'll just roll with literally anyone or random guy, let himself be put in a horrible position, and sometimes he'll get tapped and he'll just like move on like he doesn't care. He's so good when he actually tries to be good, and when he tries to beat someone up, he's insanely good. His movement is just so sharp. Goes through like a million positions in like 5 seconds. He'll just like a tornado training with a guy. I've learned so much just intuitively moving around with him, just training with the guy, trying to take his back, trying to escape him taking my back. Yeah, just easily one of my favorite training partners. Yeah.
And then I see that Gerry had to shut down his school recently.
Yes. That's man, I mean, I'm sort of looking at it from the outside. Like, I'm still, I'm here training with everyone, and I'm like definitely on the team and all that, but like, I don't see I wasn't there for like all the work that Gerry put in to building his school from the ground up. So, Gerry's a very, very funny guy. He'll always come in and have a joking, humorous attitude. And it's really impressive. Like, he just, no matter what happens, like, he'll just joke about it immediately. And that's very, very, like, that's impressive to be able to do that, to be able to just sort of laugh off any situation. And so he doesn't really draw a lot of attention to the fact that his school just shut down. But like, this guy put his entire life into, well, not his entire life, but he's put a lot of work into building the school. And to have it shut down like that, I don't know about this Corona situation. I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't study it. I don't know much about it, but like, for it to have gone this far, to have to shut down his business, like I think the building that he had his school in, his new gym, something happened with it that they can't afford to keep the building up and running. So yeah, therefore all the businesses in that building had to shut down. So, I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk about this too much. I feel like I've already, been talking for like too long about it, but it just really sucks. Like, it makes me sort of hate the situation more, and it makes me sort of feel like it's being dragged on long enough. Like, I feel like everyone should just take their personal precautions, and not have, people's livelihood just shut down because of this. But, what do I know? I just feel bad. Like, a friend of mine just got his business completely destroyed pretty much. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I think obviously it's affecting our sport in a huge way, and
yeah, and people individually, like, their personal lives are being affected. Like,
it's crazy, because for years it was like, we hoped that people could have their, make their living off of jiu-jitsu and have an academy, and that started to happen for so many people. And then now this hits. But the other side, it's like, we're not the only ones, like, I think we're special.
No, yeah, all businesses are being hit. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're a little special because of the close contact, the obvious things about jiu-jitsu that make us really different than a hair cutter, Yeah.
It makes it a lot harder to social distance.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get through it. but it hasn't really interrupted your competition schedule. So what are the ones coming up? You have 2 coming up?
Okay, so so I have who's number 1, June 5th. So in like 10 days, 8 days or something. And then after that, there may be another event in early July, but I'm not sure yet. Still sort of waiting on news for that. And then, sorry, excuse me. Then after that, I have the Jiu-Jitsu overtime tournament. So that's going to be weird, but it's a good cash prize, and I'm definitely going to go after that. So.
Okay, so going back to that, you haven't done an EBI. Have you been practicing this rule set?
Yeah, we sort of always keep our defense and offense sharp in those situations. Not specifically for EBI, but just as a way to maintain sort of effectiveness when you get close to submitting a guy who is still sort of fresh and he's guys are stubborn out there and they're not going to just let their arm go and tap and let a match end. So it's always good to be able to like physically stop a guy from moving in order to break his arm or in order to strangle them. So yeah, we're always sort of working on that, but we're going to be picking it up definitely for the overtime tournament.
And do you guys, one of the benefits is that as you were coming up, training with all these guys at Henzo's, and then those are the guys that kind of all exploded, as we talked about earlier, into the EBI scene. So yeah. You've already been practicing those situations, right?
Yeah, definitely. So there's, I've been in my fair share of not EBI tournaments, but EBI overtime tournaments. So not overtime, sorry, EBI style tournaments. So like sub only with overtime, in that sense. And so yeah, I'm sure all the guys in the overtime tournament have also had their fair share of experience in that rule set. So yeah, it's going to be, look, about that tournament, it's going to be strange, like to just sort of sit down and start with a guy on your back without being tired at all, like fresh, both of you are fresh. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Did you not make it to ADCC?
Yeah, so I won East Coast Trials, and literally exactly to the day, 2 months before ADCC, I suffered a grade 2 MCL tear while we were doing some training at Henzo's. Yeah.
Wow.
That sucks. Yeah. Yeah, that was horrible.
Did you go to the event?
I did still go to the event. I watched. Yeah.
Who won your division?
Tanquinho Mendez.
You got a little target on his head now? He's still.
I'm sure he's the number 1 guy right now. He just won ADCC, so he's the man for the next 2 years.
Is that the most prestigious event that you want to compete in, or are there other events?
Is what? Sorry.
Is that the most prestigious event you want to compete in?
Yeah, absolutely. ADCC is definitely it's the Olympics of jiu-jitsu. We've all heard that. It's definitely true. It's definitely where it's at.
And how do you feel about that rule set? Is there anything you would like to see different, or is there things that you really like? Anything?
No, I definitely really like the rule set. It's a little weird with the guard pulling rules. Like it's very sort of arbitrary. It's sort of up for debate. It's not super clear cut, but the refs and the judges all have a ton of experience and they know what they're doing. So it's more up to the competitors to learn about the rules, and I think that's where it gets sort of gray. But I love the rule set. You have your sub only time where you could sort of not worry about being scored on or being put in a bad position due to chasing a submission attempt. So you have that portion of the match. And then you have a second portion, which is going to be more sort of solid, more cautious, more conservative. You get to see sort of the positional aspect of the sport.
My last question about ADCC. When you walked in and you seen the way that the production was done, Did you think you had a concert? Did you think you entered through the wrong door? Because I did when I first walked in. I was like, "Where's the tournament at? This is some concert."
Yeah, it's like a concert with some jiu-jitsu mats. So it's actually funny you say that. I think Seth Daniels did most of his has had a lot of experience running concert shows. So it's funny, his production style kind of is very reminiscent of a concert or like a show in that style. So it's cool. It's more, I think it's much more spectator friendly than like, if it's just quiet, all you hear is like heavy breathing and sweating and stomping on the mats. So I really liked it in that sense. And if you thought that one was like a concert, then just wait till the next one, because I hear it's going to be 100 times crazier.
That's what we're hearing. You know how you just can't imagine anything being any better? It's like, what else can you do?
Get a lot better.
Maybe it's going to have some drones flying. I don't know what else can you do, but it was an awesome experience. I love being there. I keep repeating this, my only hesitation was I was sitting mat side with Nicky Rod.
Oh yeah.
And who's the other guy?
Jay?
Muhammad Ali.
Oh yeah.
And they, and those guys don't care about us photographers.
Oh no, they came crashing into you for sure.
And I think there was a target on me for someone was trying to assassinate me or something, because they came at me 3 times, and I have never feared sitting mat side before until after that.
Yeah, these two like mountains of people come crashing into you.
Have you ever trained with Nicky Rod?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. Honestly, a really, really good training partner. Like, you might think you're worried about getting injured or something. He moves so well. He controls his, 300 pounds of body weight beautifully. But yeah, he moves really well, and he's a great training partner. Oh yeah.
And he's a purple belt?
Yeah, I think he's a purple belt. Like, belts really don't matter at this point. Like, it's getting to be ridiculous, like the belt system. I mean, you get guys that are like blue belts medaling at ADCC. Clearly, the belts don't matter at this point.
Interesting.
If someone offered you a gi match, would you do it?
It depends against who, and it depends how much they want to pay me. But yeah, I would be very open to that. I still like the gi. I never trained it again. The last time I put a gi on was in Miami for the Moja Sims camp. But I enjoy it. It's fun training in the gi. It's different. Each grip sort of is very different. It can do much more for you sometimes. The friction is very different. It changes everything. It's fun.
So what do you plan on doing in the future? I'm trying to figure out what are you going to do for money? What's going to be your career? I'm assuming you can't do this forever.
No, I'm not immortal, so I can't just compete forever, unfortunately.
Wait, how old? How old are you right? How old are you right?
26. 20. Yeah, I just turned 26.
So what are you going to do in the future? Sorry, that's where we're trying to go.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I guess the route everyone takes is, you build up your accolades, then you open up a gym. But I'm not sure if I want to open up a gym. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell yet. For now, just the goal is win ADCC and go from there. Then we'll see. It's always been sort of one step at a time in my life. The next step is ADCC.
So what if we set up a gi match between you and Vinny Magalhaes? Let's say...
As long as we can also reap and heel hook, then all right, I'm in. Let's try it.
Really?
I'm sure. I'm not saying I'll heel hook him easy, but because I'm not going to beat him without, I don't train in the gi. This guy has been like a world champion in the gi. Maybe I don't really even know his accolades, but I'm sure he's pretty good in the gi.
I guess. So do you think that evens things up? I'm not saying that it makes it even, but does it bring it closer if you can reap and heel hook in the gi?
It's definitely a sort of, what's it called? It's definitely a bit of a disruptor in that sense. Like it's something that suddenly, we've been doing that. We've been both trying for about the same amount of time. Like I assume he hasn't been learning about leg locks since he just started, since he's probably been training like 20 years. He hasn't been heel hooking for 20 years, whereas I've been training for about 6 years now, and I've been heel hooking for like, I don't know, 3 years. So who knows? Maybe it's a little more equal in that sense, but yeah. Not like a complete game changer, but it maybe adds something in my favor. Yeah.
So 6 years and 1 day ago, what did you think you were going to be doing with your life?
6 years. So before jiu-jitsu completely, I really don't know. I was sort of just going through school, not liking it. I was always sort of like really into science, biology, marine biology. But I don't know. I sort of found jiu-jitsu and then immediately gravitated to it just because I was sort of winning local things in Montreal. I don't know. I was sort of a mess from the beginning. Still am. Just have a goal in mind, I guess, finally.
ADCC or bust.
That's it. All eggs in one basket.
So other than your knee injury, have you had any other major injuries?
Nope. That was the only one. 2 months before ADCC.
And who did it?
The only injury.
Put him on blast. Who did it?
Oh, no, I can't. I don't want to talk shit. I was in the middle of cutting weight. I was like really tired. I had trained like literally 3 weeks nonstop without a single day off. It's just like sort of pushing the gas too much on my body, maybe.
I think it was George St Pierre. I think he said something like, "You will not go to the ADCC this year."
And then he cracks my leg in half.
Yeah, that's a terrible French accent, but I tried.
Hey, it's good enough.
I couldn't get by being Canadian up there. They'd never fall for
it. Yeah.
Maybe Canadian, but not French Canadian. What's the jiu-jitsu like in Canada? I mean, is it growing? I mean, obviously coronavirus is messing things up, but other than that, is it getting big like it here is in the States, or?
It's definitely sort of getting bigger everywhere by from the feel I have. It's sort of been exploding the past like 2 years. It's been like really, really exploding. But yeah, it's definitely growing faster in the US, but it's still growing in Canada. Definitely, maybe not as fast, just as it's not as sort of robust as a community as the USA has in terms of gyms, competitions, different like organizations and everything. But it's still growing for sure.
And do you eventually want to move back to Canada?
I don't know. I'm sort of like, I'm here for the time being. Training is going great. I've been going back and forth. Once the borders reopen, I'll be going back. I'll be able to go back and forth a little more.
You're not sneaking across like in the middle of the night, digging a little tunnel?
That?
You're not sneaking across at night under a tunnel, or?
That would be too much work. I'll just chill in one place till they open it up.
What's the tournament scene in Quebec, or sorry, in Canada? Is there a big tournament scene, or? Well,
okay, so in Quebec itself, it's actually illegal still, as far as I know. Last time I checked,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, which is like such a middle finger to the jiu-jitsu world. Like, some dumb shit happened between two event promoters. And I don't know, I think they'd like called the cops on each other a few times just because they had their own personal drama. And it's really a shame that whatever they had, whoever was right, whoever was wrong, it doesn't matter. It's just sucks that it happened. And they sort of ruined it for Montreal and Quebec as a whole, to whole tournaments. So my little brother, Liam, is starting, he started training and he wants to compete. He wants to do this. He wants to try and build a name for himself. And it's really, really irritating for me as an older brother, and obviously for him, that he can't compete unless he leaves Quebec, which as a 15-year-old is, pretty difficult to do. You can't rent a car and go drive to a tournament. You don't have any money. You don't have the ability to rent a car or to do anything like that on your own. So for him and really any other kid or person who's trying to compete, it's really, really annoying because you have to leave the province to go compete. So because of their bullshit drama, now it's sort of really sort of put out the flame that was growing in terms of jiu-jitsu in Montreal and in Canada. Like, Montreal was a big jiu-jitsu hub for Canada, and it just sort of shut it down because of their nonsense. So I don't know. I think there's people sort of working on building the what's it called? There are sort of people working on rebuilding the community, the sort of the tournaments and the re-legalizing it and all that. But I don't know what's happening with it since I was there last. And yeah, anyway, I hope it.
Was it legal before and then it became illegal?
Yes. So it was totally legal. I was competing. I was almost able to compete like 3 times a month. I remember coming up white, blue, purple belt. I would be able to compete like a 10-minute drive from my own house. And that is so underratedly valuable. And like, I can't even do that. I would still go and do that if I could. Even now, okay, brown belt, Vintage BCC, I would still, if there were tournaments in Montreal, I would go there and compete. And because of this garbage that they went through, these 2 promoters, I can't do that. And neither can my younger brother and any other competitor in Montreal. So it really, really was a bad move for the sport as a whole in that community.
Wow.
It's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, such an overreaction to what happened. I mean,
I know it's a horrible, embarrassing way to handle the situation on behalf of the Montreal, whatever, the board of people who decided to make it illegal. Like, they're like just lazy, useless people. They should all be fired. Like, there's such a waste of, like, they should not be paid their salary. They're literally not doing their job. It's a joke. Whoever is behind it should be fired because they're just lazy and not doing their job, number one. Number two, the 2 promoters who did it, I'm friends with one of them and I like one of them. The other one, I have no real idea who he is. Never met him. But like, fuck, man, you fucked it up for everyone, and you should be really like pushing the gas on fixing it because it's part of your mistake. And they're not really doing anything as far as I see. They're just sort of like, oh, it is what it is. Nothing we could do. And that sucks. Like, they just came in, they tried to make money making events. They ruined it for everyone, and then just left. And that's great. That's great. That pisses me off.
How long and how far would someone have to travel to go compete right now if they were living there?
If they were living in Montreal, you'd have to travel to either New Jersey. You'd have to drive. I think Ottawa is able to hold tournaments again, but I'm not sure. And even if they are, it's sort of right now it killed the entire scene, so no one's really competing. So
how long is it to New Jersey? Like a 2-hour drive, or how far is that?
That's going to be a 5.5-hour drive. Yeah. So it's definitely, you can't really drive there day of unless you leave at like, I don't know, 4 a.m. or something. Yeah. Or unless it's a night venue, you could leave late. But like, these guys need to fix it. The guys who specifically did the events need to be working their asses off to fix it, and they're not doing shit, which sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks mainly for people like my little brother or other even the competitors at TriStar who are like, blue belts. They just want to compete on the weekend. They're hobbyists, or they want to be full-timers. They just have no easy access to that valuable experience of just, competing, win or lose, compete as much as you can. That's where it comes from. those days competing in those local tournaments.
Wow, we got them all fired up.
I almost want to. I almost want to put them on blast for you.
It's just sort of reminding me of like those days. Like those were really fun days. Like competing in you wake up in your own bed, you get ready, you do your own thing, and you go compete. And you could go train at your own gym the same day. Like that was the best thing ever. And these idiots ruined it. They're just, oh man, I like thinking about it now. Just fuck, man. Just sucks.
That's almost like living in LA.
Sorry?
It's almost like living in LA. You just get to wake up and drive to the venue.
Yeah, that's so good. Like you're living in the place where you're going to compete in the Olympics of your sport. Like if I could right now, I would live in Vegas for the next year with my entire team and just train there. So we're ready for ADCC. But
so if they were still having the tournaments in Montreal, would you have stayed? Or I'm sorry, I might be mixing up the countries, counties, states, whatever. Would you have stayed up there, or would you still be down here training?
No, I would definitely still be down here training. But I would go up there to compete. I would go up there, spend a week with my family or spend a month, whatever, knowing that I can compete, you know, whatever, even if it's a local tournament with not really any big names in it, it's still just good to sort of compete, show the world what you're working on, get some footage of maybe you being armbarred or you armbarring someone else, hopefully. But yeah, I would definitely go back up there to compete.
I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. We're done with it. It's over. But
we need to end on a happier note.
Do you have a nickname?
Oh, it's all good. Sorry?
Do you have a nickname?
I don't have a nickname. No.
We gotta get you one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I keep getting that question, but I mean, I can't like make it up myself, right? It's gotta come out from the world somewhere.
Well, did Gordon come up with the king, or did someone give it to him?
I think he just crowned himself king.
Well, there you go.
You just decide that.
You can crown yourself the prince of Quebec. I don't know.
Prince of Quebec? Sure. It's not my decision. If that's my name.
So I got to get going. We're glad to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
I never knew all this information about you. Now I'm on a mission about to get jiu-jitsu back in Quebec and Montreal.
Yes, thank you. Please.
Do you have any sponsors that you want to thank? And if people want to get a hold of you, or any Instagram, Facebook, anything?
Yeah. So pretty much sponsors include Jiu-Jitero, Roll Forever. Those guys been hooking me up forever. Roll Forever is really like a great brand coming up. Betty in Virginia, you know, she rocks. She's really keeping things real down there. Yeah, other than that, I mean, contact me on Instagram if you want to hit me up for seminars or private lessons, always available. Yeah, that's about it. Pretty much. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It was good to get to know you guys.
Likewise, thank you.
By the way, I sent you a friend request on Facebook. You can ignore it. It's okay.
I go on Facebook about once every 2 months, but I will go on to accept your friend request.
I just want you to know who I am. So I'm Kenny Jewell. So you might have saw that. You'd be like, who's this Kenny Jewell guy? So I understand.
I have not seen it, but I will go and make sure I accept it. As soon as I discovered Instagram, I sort of just stopped using Facebook. Just got lazy with it, but
well, that's the difference between me and Felicia. She's an Instagrammer. I'm a Facebooker, and I kind of go like to Instagram like just 10% of my time, unless there's tournaments going on. Then I do a lot of Instagram photography,
But Kenny's like a Facebook troll, so we have to get him onto Instagram to start trolling you and riling you up and getting your smack talking game up on Instagram.
Please help me, because I have zero smack talking game right now. I'm too nice.
It hasn't rubbed off on you?
Living with Gordon, you mean? Yeah, no, unfortunately, I'm still too nice. I don't know how to be meaner. It's just
maybe that's your nickname, the nice guy.
Mr. Nice Guy. Mr. Nice Guy.
And then you can go to Chaels tournaments, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, who's our sponsors, Felicia?
We have Roll Forever, yay! Roll Dogs Kimonos, Luta Gear, Flow Art of Felicia O, and
Iron Lion Soap. And thank you again, Ethan. It was nice to get to know you. And
problem.
Yeah, look for some of my posts about Canada not having jiu-jitsu.
I will share them.
All right.
That has to change. Not Canada, just Quebec specifically.
Quebec, I'm sorry. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck with all your upcoming tournaments.
Thank you very much, Felicia.
We'll be watching.
Thank you. Bye, guys.